telephones. And commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Call the meeting to order at 3 o'clock. Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, approval of agenda for the November 8th Planning Commission meeting.
I move to approve the agenda for the November 8th meeting.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for November 8th. All in favor? Rugel?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda has been approved. Approval of minutes from the October 3rd. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes for October 3rd? If not, I'm open to a motion to approve.
I wasn't
From anybody that was here.
here. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from October 3rd, 2023. Can we vote if we were not here?
If there's any doubt, abstain.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain.
Otherwise, I don't know that it's
You
correct
don't?
or not.
Yeah.
wouldn't.
So if you weren't here, I guess abstain. Rugel?
Yes. Abstain.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
It has been,
What's the vote?
from those that were here, it's been unanimous. Yes, the approval of the minutes from October
Takes
3rd. We have no unfinished business, so let's move right into new business.
How many abstentions were there?
I think just two of us, three.
Perfect. Okay, just double checking.
Matt, come and talk to us about LLA 23007, Di Robbins.
All right, good afternoon. We're requesting a variance for the lot width on this property. The owners, they own both of the lots. There's a house on both lots, well, septic on each lot. What we found is that the well servicing the big house is actually on the lot nothing's situated right on here. And so they're trying to create the lots so that each lot will be individual, have its own house, well, septic, and all, and what have you. In doing that, the lot width won't be met, and so we're asking for a variance on that. So,
Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have questions, but let's go to the,
Hello, everyone. So we have lot line LLA 23-007, Di Robbins, applicants Michael Di, consultant Matt Koch. The request is a variance from the Fremont County subdivision regulations and Fremont County zoning regulations. What we have here is lot 2, the Fremont County subdivision regulations design standards. It states, except where modified by the commission or the board, each subdivision and the plat thereof shall be in conformity with these subdivision regulations. All adopted plans and policies, the zoning resolution, all other resolutions and regulations in effect in Fremont County. Specifically, lot standards, wedge-shaped lots. In case of wedge-shaped lots, no lot width shall be less than the permitted width of the existing or proposed zone district. The building setback line shall be located by dimension at a point where the minimum lot width complies with the required lot width and the required setback as per the zone district. The setback shall be from the closest property line. All structures would be here on the lot 2 as proposed. These structures would be in what would generally be considered an unbuildable area of a lot due to the lot width. It says wherever possible, the depth of the lot should not be greater than twice its width. This subject property is located in the agricultural rural zone district on Mountain View Road in Cotopaxi. Lot number 1 currently has a dwelling, a garage, an installed septic system, and a permitted well. Lot number 2 has a dwelling, a shed, a barn, an installed septic system, and an unpermitted, or unregistered well on it. So we received comments from the Colorado Division of Water Resources, which discusses the permitted well on Lot 1 and the unregistered permitted well on Lot 2. And according to the submittal, this action as proposed creates 2 distinct parcels, which may leave the residence identified as 96 Mountain View Road, or Lot 2, without a legally permitted water source. Therefore, the Division of Water Resources review concludes this action involves an expanded or changed use of permitted groundwater, warranting further attention, and is this time does not recommend approval of said application until remedied. Applicant are directed to contact the Department of Water Resources Permitting Office to discuss the options and remedy permitting as appropriate to bring each of the affected parcel into full compliance. So this one's a little different than we normally see. What occurred here is somehow we ended up with 2 residences and wells and septics and full build-outs on one parcel to speak of. So this, this lot line adjustment in front of us is trying to remedy the current site conditions that are existing. So the variance is for an exception of our subdivision regulations to try and accommodate this the best that can be done. I know Matt was working with our office closely of trying to figure out how to get the lot line to best have this fit the regulations, and this is about as close as it could get to remedy a current existing issue. With that being said, the Department of Planning and Zoning recommends approval for this variance to correct the setbacks on Lot 1. The department recommends the well permits be a contingency item if the lot line adjustment is approved. And the department also recommends the owner of the proposed Lot 2 apply for a non-conforming status as a contingency item. So what would happen there is, since Lot 2 is currently in what would be considered a non-buildable zone, if that home was to burn down and they weren't to replace it in the time frame, they would not be able to put the home back in that location. Whereas if, according to the contingency item we're recommending, if they apply for a non-conforming status, they would be able to rebuild. So it'd be a safeguard for that homeowner. So the 2 recommendations from the department are contingencies, that the well permits be taken care of with the Department of Water Resources, and a non-conforming be applied for and approved.
Was that second? I'm sorry. I'll wait.
Gardner, go ahead with your question, please.
Well, just, is that second little home built without permit or anything?
You
They
know-
just kind of sneak it in there?
I'm not sure. These people bought this all built.
Okay,
It's
already
not like
done.
they're building it.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Man, I see a well located, it appears to be south of the house on Lot 2. Where's the well for Lot 1?
basically just to the west of the septic for Lot 2. You can see that it's called out just off to the side there.
Oh, I see it now. Okay,
And
sorry.
and that runs down the hill to that house, to the north.
Has there been a conversation with the state about reinstating that well, or what the plan is for that going forward?
Yeah, my clients are trying to get it registered. Trying to find information on that well is hard.
Yeah.
They've contacted well drillers, and they think they found the well driller that actually drilled it, and they're going back through their files trying to figure things out. So we're trying to work through that.
Are they going to allow that close to a septic?
That's stuff we'll have to work through.
Yeah, understood.
Why is that lot to the right, the lot 2, why is it such a strange shape? Is it geographically what they had to do to make a lot out of it because of some,
Right now, the way it is now that we're proposing, or
no, originally, how come that?
it was a triangular lot originally, yeah, that's just the way it was
That's a
platted.
pretty strange shape to come up with for a lot, unless there's,
It is Glen
rock
Vista,
or-
so.
Okay, so the variance is the lot width on lot 2, the 148.72 feet. That's not in compliance with our,
Correct.
Our,
That's
so-
what we're
but
asking for
there's-
the variance on, and then we'll file the nonconformance based on that.
yeah, I'm just not seeing a better way to draw that through there where it's between both houses where you could get 300 feet. You just can't do it.
Right.
That was looked at a bunch of different ways, and there's just not a great way to try to find compliance.
Okay.
Well, that mobile had a building permit on it, right? An expired building permit?
Yeah, they actually reinstated it several times
Did
over
they?
the years. And it started with the original owner, and they started building it. And I think they reinstated it once at least. But I think it may be expired now. Did you guys check on that? Is it expired? Yeah, and
So with the original building permit, though, is that where it was supposed to go with that building
I
permit?
believe so, yeah. And we did find some errors within the original survey. Somebody went in and resurveyed and didn't set the property corners in the correct places. So I think the owner actually, tried to do the right thing, put it in the right place, but he didn't. In the end, the lot line goes through the house, as it shows on here. And so there's lots of goofiness on this, so.
So with this lot line adjustment, we're not going to create any other problems with stormwater runoff or anything like that, are we?
No, and everything's existing as it is now. There's no proposed other structures as of now, so.
I'm just wondering how they got the building permit for the new building without having a stormwater plan. That should have raised the issue right there, shouldn't it?
Not necessarily. I don't think the county requires that as part of the building permit process.
No, so drainage plans, unless they're listed on the plat, or it's a new subdivision coming to us where we're addressing drainage, a lot of the older subdivisions, it wasn't a concern. So on a bunch of the older ones, drainage plan isn't required for construction.
And these are fairly large lots, 4.5 acres plus. And they drain, 2 gravel roads, borrow ditches, and there are culverts in place in some of these places and such. So some of the drainage is taken care of already, so.
Okay.
So the current owners just bought it as is, and we're trying to fix it after the fact.
Yeah,
That's always fun.
So my question is, will this lot line adjustment bring it into the new county standards that we're working on? Will it still be an unconforming property?
It'll still be, those structures will still be in a non-buildable zone. That any changes that we're working on in the regulations wouldn't affect that. So, and that's why the department feels that them applying for a non-conforming, so moving forward, those structures are kind of safeguarded, would be the right way to go with it. But yet, no current proposed changes would make this one okay.
Put you in a tough spot.
Yeah, it's certainly not a typical application that we'd bring in front of you. it's unique.
Commissioners, any other questions for Matt or for Dan? Dan, I heard the contingencies you mentioned, but I don't see them in my packet, so.
Okay, sorry, I have them listed on the second page of the staff report, where it says planning and zoning recommendations, but, so this department recommends approval for this variance to correct the setbacks on lot 1. Or setbacks on lot 1. The department recommends well permits be a contingency item if the lot line adjustment is approved, and the department recommends the owner of the proposed lot 2 apply for non-conforming. But, give me 1 second.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm open to a motion if anybody wants to make one.
I'll make a motion, we approve LLA 23-001, Di Robbins with the noted contingencies.
I would second that.
That is not the number I have. I have 23007.
I'm sorry, what did I say,
007?
1?
Huh?
I said 1.
You said one.
Yeah, okay. So, I
meant
thought I was
seven.
looking at the wrong one for a
No,
minute.
that's-
23007. So it's been moved and seconded to approve. Gardner?
Aye.
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 All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Matt. And Matt, please move right into Yoder Minor Subport.
All right. We are requesting approval of a 2-lot subdivision. This is on York, right at the corner of York and Colvin. There's an existing house on Lot 2 that they just built, and Lot 1 will be the vacant lot that will be ready for a new house. It is in the Park Center Water District. We do have a water approval on that. The sanitary sewer is Fremont County, so we're going to tie into that. They're going to run through Lot 1 with an easement for services on that, and we do have approval on that from the utility companies. In the process of preparing the survey, we did find a detention facility at the corner of Lot 2. It's got pipes and it looks like it's been built in the past. It's not been maintained. It needs some work to maintain it, to build it, to make it work properly. So with that being there and establishing the easement back to Lot 1, we are requesting a waiver of the drainage report, since there's already a facility there that just needs to be maintained and cleaned up. Don't know where that facility came from. We tried to review the file from the county, and the file ran away, and so we don't know where that's at, so we couldn't review any of the previous information on that. So we are asking for a waiver of that. The Fremont Conservation District did have an issue with this property at the start. Because of the way it's terraced, somebody had gone in there prior to this client and dug out a lot of the dirt, took it where, we don't know. The Conservation District was concerned about that, wanted to know if we had a reclamation plan in place. I contacted them, discussed it with them, and they did send a letter saying that they are okay with it now, that there's no need for a reclamation plan or anything. So that did get taken care of. Other than that, if you have any questions, there is a requirement for a fire hydrant. We are going to install that as part of this. We are requesting that be a contingency prior to recording of the plat. We have that ready to go. We just need to pull the trigger on it. Just FYI, it's going to be about $10,000. So that's what the client's putting into this to put a fire hydrant in. So if you have any other questions.
I have one quick one.
Yep.
Is Colvin Road the access point for the second lot?
Yes.
The one in the rear?
Yes.
Is that built to county standards?
I'm not sure. They recently graded it out and made it really nice. I don't know if it's to county standards. I don't think the county's adopted it for maintenance, but it is public right-of-way and public street in there. And it does service another house even beyond that. There's another house that goes up to and
Right.
it's kind of like a driveway back to it. So it is a decent road back in there, so.
Let's get the report from Dan, and then we'll open it up for questions.
All right, hello, everyone. Minor subdivision 23-004, Yoder Minor Subdivision. Applicants Yoder Homes LLC, consultant Matt Koch. Request approval for minor subdivision that will create a total of 2 lots. Lot number 1, 0.47 acres. Lot number 2, 0.47 acres. The property is located in the Agricultural Suburban Zone District on Colvin Street and York Street in Canyon City. This property is serviced by Park Center Water District and Fremont San. So the development requirements for that zone district is a minimum of 15,000 square feet with utilities. So the 0.47 acres, they more than meet the requirements. Improvements, currently Lot 2 has a dwelling. The applicant has requested the waiver of a drainage report. We received comments from various staff. The county engineer, a drainage plan should be designated and certified by a professional engineer and at a minimum should include description, drawing of Lot 1 development, drainage improvements for Lot 1 to control drainage from proposed improvements of Lot 1 onto neighboring properties, hydrologic and rainfall analysis, and the detention pond and outlet design. Comments from Fremont County Department of Transportation, a driveway access permit will be required for Lot 2. The Fremont Conservation District, we have not received the same letter as Matt, so what we currently have is the soil and erosion due to the soil being excavated on this property. The Fremont Conservation District Board of Supervisors would like to know if there's a reclamation plan for future soil and erosion due to the excavation. If there is, we would appreciate it, an email copy. Canyon City Fire Protection District. Add a fire hydrant within 600 feet of the property or extend the existing public roadways to the property. So as Matt has explained, they're choosing to install a fire hydrant. So Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval with the following comments. Let's see here. A title, so per subdivision regulations of the Fremont County, Colorado, section XIII, General Information Requirements number 1, where it states a title insurance commitment or policy with an effective date within 30 days of the application submittal, which shall set forth the names of all owners of the property, including in the proposed plat, and shall include a list of all mortgages, judgments, liens, easements, contracts, agreements, and other interests of record with the county, or in the county, which affect the property covered by such plat. So staff recommends an updated title commitment before recording the minor subdivision as a contingency item. Per subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIII, General Information Requirements number 4. Proof of water, which may be a letter from a public water district indicating that the proposed lots can be provided a water service, or a letter or a copy of a well permit from the Colorado Division of Water Resources indicating that well permits will be issued for each lot. The letter we're provided has an expiration date of the 28th of February, 2024. So staff recommends the purchase of a water tap for Lot 1 as a contingency item prior to the expiration of that letter. Per subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIII, General Information number 8, drainage plan and report. So staff recommends a drainage plan and report as a contingency item. And the reason why staff recommends that as a contingency item is, yes, a detention area basin, it does exist on proposed Lot 2. Matt's correct, we looked for the file, we could not find the file, we could not find any information regarding what is there. So while there is some sort of drainage setup that's been unmaintained there, We have no information on knowing if it could handle any of the drainage that would be occurring based off of Lot 1, Lot 2. Matt did provide a detail of what the reclamation of that would look like. But without knowing what the standard of what it was and what its capabilities were, we're not sure if it can handle what may be caused by this subdivision and this future buildup. So we recommend a drainage plan report as a contingency item. Per subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIID, general information requirements number 9. It states a fire protection plan addressing proposed method of fire protection, location of fire hydrants, or other means of fire protection. If the subdivision is not located within a fire district, if the subdivision is located within a fire district, the fire protection form provided by the department and completed by the district shall be provided to the applicant with the application. So staff recommends the installation of a new fire hydrant within 600 feet of the proposed lots as a contingency item, as well as an improvement location certificate showing its location to be in compliance with the comments from the fire protection district. We have subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIIE, additional requirements number 1. Information as required on a form provided by the department for the issuance of all property addresses. So staff recommends at the time of development, lot number 1 have issuance of an address, as well as, let's see here, an approved driveway access permit for any streets that intersects the county right of way. Staff recommends a driveway access permit and an issuance of address at the time of development for lot 1. Then we have per subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIIIE, additional requirements number 2. Closure sheets for each lot in the boundary of the proposed subdivision shall be provided prior to recording of the plat. Staff recommends this as a contingency item. And then lastly, subdivision regulations of Fremont County, Colorado, section XIIIE, additional requirements number 5. It calls for an executed quitclaim deed with a deed restriction addressing the maintenance of any drainage facilities, easements, rights-of-way, etc. required. Such deed will be recorded at the time of the recording of the plat. Recording fees for the same will be the expense of the applicant. Staff recommends the quitclaim deed being recorded as a contingency item as well.
Thank you, Dan. Commissioners, go ahead.
One thing I'd like to discuss there is the water tap. The Park Center Water District did give us a letter that they can supply the water. It does expire in February. Rather than having us spend $12,000 and on a water tap, if we can just get an updated letter with a new date on that, that would be preferable. I mean, if we could add that to that rather than forcing us to buy a water tap.
So is there a water main going up Colvin Road that can be tapped into?
Not Colvin, but going up York, and they're allowing us to tap into that and run it up to the lot as a service.
So is there an easement for that to go into?
Yep.
Across the front lot?
Across on the north side of that front lot there.
Okay.
That was my question. Is Colvin Road a county road? Is it a public road?
I'm guessing right now, I think it is is it a private road? Or is it?
So as part of the Colvin subdivision that this is part of, they dedicated 60 feet to Fremont County for street. And so it's public right-of-way, but it's never been built to a standard or accepted for maintenance by the county. Just like a lot of the roads out in Penrose and in that area, it's kind of the same, follows the same thing, so.
Well, that was my question, because out in Penrose, a subdivision just got turned down because of the roads that are existing there. And they were requiring that they be brought up to county standards, which is going to be a lot of money.
Right.
In this particular case, it would just be across the width of 2 lots.
Right, and it's in
But
pretty
it
good
seems to me
shape.
like that road should be brought up to standard too.
It's in pretty good shape. I don't know if you guys took pictures of that while you were out there.
There should be photos in there. It's not county standards, it's in reasonable shape. I
So
know
you
we,
don't think it should be improved? Is that what you're saying?
I think when the fire marshal stated that he either wanted the roadway improved or a hydrant installed, we felt that a hydrant would be sufficient, and we felt that would be a sufficient way to go. We had options on this one. The roadway does not go through even to the end of this lot. We're talking 300 feet.
But isn't there another lot between this particular parcel and the Colvin property on top?
So yeah, looking at this right now, so we're just off to the north of the subdivision. So that's the road, Colvin Road right there.
Right.
And that services that house in the background. That's another parcel.
But there's another parcel between these two parcels, right? Between his house parcel?
No, so this subdivision butts up against that house
So this is
lot.
gonna completely build out the road?
Right, and so what the fire department was saying was, there's a fire hydrant up on top of the hill, so it would be within 600 feet, but we had to build the road so they could get their trucks up to it. And so we either built the road in, which would cost a fortune, or we put a fire hydrant in. And so we're putting the fire hydrant in to meet their requirements. But the road, is in good shape. It's got good road base on it. It's graded. There's, it's not rutted or anything like that. It's in decent shape, so. And it'll service 2 houses in the end if we get approval, so.
So isn't it for a subdivision though, that the lot has to be on, facing a road, on a road?
Well, theoretically it is, it's platted,
It's platted, but it's not a road.
but it's public right of way.
It's public right of way, but it's not a
Right.
road.
But it's public right of way.
It's not a county accepted road.
But it's public right of way, and so we have to face public right of way. And so the road's there, whether it's built to maintenance or not, it's an existing road in a public right of way.
Is that the wording of it? That it's got to face a public right of way or a road? That's a very important distinction right now.
It is.
It really is, and I can't say I know all of my regulations well enough to quote it
Yeah, that's fair.
exactly. I could research it for sure.
Yeah, I think it might be worth doing.
Yes.
I have a question too, Dan. If it's a public road, should they not run public water down the road? And, I mean, why would they run an easement through another property? In my understanding, generally, the water line, if it faces a public road, the water line should be run down that road. If this isn't, in fact, a public road.
And there should be an extension of the sewer line in regard to
So
that
that
too.
question came up with both of those utilities, and the utilities understood that there won't be any more development to the west of this. So putting a main in for one house just wasn't cost effective. So that's why they allowed us to run the services across in an easement to the mains out on the road. So,
How about the properties to the north of Colvin?
what's that?
Are there any properties to the north of Colvin that could possibly be subdivided at any point in time?
There's one large lot there that could be, yeah.
Well, and
So-
that's my problem. If that eventually could be subdivided because we consider this a public road and we have not done our due diligence and put a public utilities in that road, if it is in fact public, then we have not done them.
Yeah, and I understand where you're
I mean, at
talking
some
there.
point, somebody, if they develop that whole street, somebody is gonna have to put the utilities in the street.
Right, and the cost-effective thing comes back. So for a 2-lot subdivision, you want us to spend $35,000 on a water line and $40,000 on a sewer line, you just.
No, I
Yeah,
understand that, but.
And that's the
but,
trouble that we always run into is, the cost-effectiveness of actually utilizing and having good use of the lands, versus, okay, so we're gonna put this water main in that services one additional house, and it just doesn't work. Who knows when and if they'll ever develop that land to the north. It has a lot of access off of York. It's a very long strip going to the north. So, yeah, it's tough.
Well, I'd also like to point out that, it's getting a York address, right?
Yes.
So it's not a Colvin address, so.
Well, and that's where I guess we'll have to have planning and zoning look at that, because, when you get up on top of the hill, it's Colvin.
Yeah,
It's dedicated as Colvin, this is dedicated right away, so it should be the extension of Colvin Avenue.
right.
So do we need to change those addresses? I mean, it may be a discussion with code enforcement to see if that's a needed thing, so.
And then just to comment on the water tap, I would agree, because for city water, we would not issue a water tap without a recorded plat. So, you know, I wouldn't want to create a condition where we start making it a contingency, when, you know, there would, like the chicken and the egg thing, right? We would require a recorded plat, but the county is requiring a water tap to get a recorded plat, so,
Yeah, I guess the county's only concern was the expiration on it.
yep.
You know, proof of water is one of our standards. So they have submitted a letter, but it's got an expiration date, and once chicken and egg.
Yep,
We just want to ensure everyone's going to be able to have the utilities that they need.
sure. So can we change that contingency to extension of proof of water?
We
Or
can.
Promise
Yep.
of water. or will
And I
serve.
believe my client's gonna start building on it right away, but with the world the way it is, who knows?
Yep.
So,
And the language in our regulations there, shell front on a public street.
Yeah, so I guess it would be the engineer's then description of whether that's actually a public street or not. It's a right-of-way, but I would not call it a street.
No.
You
So,
know, you can't get an address on it.
yeah, it's
It's-
never been
it's not-
adopted as Colvin.
Right, it's never been
So-
adopted because it's never been built out.
Because, it's dedicated for County Street,
Yeah,
is the way it is now. So you guys own it, the county owns it as a public street. Whether it's built or not, that's the other question, so.
yeah. I don't know, I guess in my opinion, that's enough for me to say maybe we should delay it for a month and get that figured out before we go approving it.
and that's for the utilities coming down the roadway rather than through the easement of the lots?
No, it's for figuring out if that needs to be a built-out road, so
Okay.
that lot can face out a road, or, you know, if that being a right-of-way is enough. I think to figure out that issue. The water, I guess, doesn't necessarily bother me as much. If Park Center's okay with it, if the sanitation district is okay with it, then, okay. Not what I would do, but okay. But the road is what's more concerning, I guess, to me. I mean, obviously, the intent of the subdivision was to have that road built out. And this is the last lot of the subdivision, right?
Well, and so, I guess we need to define if it needs to be built out.
Sure.
To, you know, because, you know, the right-of-way takes off at the top of the hill as well as part of Colvin.
Yep.
And it's just, you know, physically, there's a hill, there's I mean, it's just, there's a reason it's not been built.
Right.
And-
Well, the nice thing is, I mean, every other lot faces either York or whatever it is to the west,
And so,
Minnesota.
the house behind this that's existing has a York Avenue address. And they use they come down that public right-of-way to that. And so this would be the exact same situation.
If there was a mistake made in the past, doesn't mean we should
Well,
do it
is it
again.
a mistake, or is it just
Sure.
good use of the lands and without too much impact on the people trying to develop
Right.
it, you know?
Yep,
So it's, you know, it's, I
yeah.
don't know, you know.
I think
the
it just
best-
needs to be defined a little better.
I appreciate you wanting to take time to look at this. If there's any way we can make that a contingency rather, my client has that house for sale on the corner, and he can't sell it until we get this done. And so the more delay, you know, it's just the way things are. So if there's any way we can do some verbiage where we double check it with Road and Bridge and engineers and everything before the BOCC meeting or something like that.
Okay.
That would be preferable, so we don't put it off 30 more days.
Travis, if you look at 3B up on the screen.
Okay. Sure. Could you lower up a little bit? Type of improvements required, so forth and so on, shall be determined by the board. So it's up to us to
Make any
make
recommendations.
any
on the
recommendations for street
improvements.
improvement,
Yes, sir.
or not.
Yes, sir.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm reading there is that the frontage of the new lot would be on Colvin Road, correct? And so your front setback would be predicated on that dimension.
Yes, sir.
And the driveway access has to go into Colvin Road, which has to be applied for and approved by the Transportation Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is the same Transportation Department that's requiring improved roads in Penrose, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, paragraph B saying shall be required to have a roadway located in such right of way built to current Fremont County specifications, unless access to be gained from existing county maintained roadway.
And it's not maintained.
So while A gives us the type of improvements, B kind of squashes that, saying it's got to be built to Fremont County specifications, right?
Yes, sir. I can certainly contact, if this board chooses not to make a decision today, I can certainly contact FCDOT and try and get additional feedback from them, because they had the opportunity to review this one, but they may have missed that.
Dan, I have a lot of questions on this one. I'm going to have to defer to you. I know Matt's client would like to get started, but I have a lot of questions on this. What is your recommendation we do with this? I just have a...
So my initial staff report does recommend approval with a lot of contingencies, which is not what we normally do with a minor sub. But the applicant was hoping to, I think, to get this approved and be able to, once they know it was a guarantee, to be able to sort through the details. I believe that's what occurred. This is obviously a different minor sub than I've ever presented to this board before. There's a lot of asks, and there would be a lot of stuff to keep track of. That being said, I don't necessarily think all of them are a bad thing, but your guys' concern about the roadway itself, where normally I also rely heavily on other departments for feedback. And that's why I'm saying maybe it'd be best if I revisit with FCDOT for their opinion of upgrading that roadway, since that seems like this board's major concern. Some of their contingencies make a whole lot of sense. You know, stuff like the title insurance and the ratification, let me see here, the closure sheets and stuff like that. Very often, as a requirement, all of that stuff gets submitted to us, and throughout the process, there's delays, and eventually those expire, and then the client or the applicant has to turn around and pay money to renew and renew. I could see why they're asking for that for sure.
Some of those are regulatory, though. I mean, the closure sheets on their applications say they can be contingencies. And the updated title work, you want that prior to recording within 30 days.
Yes.
So, I mean, those are regulatory.
So what I'm saying is I understand why you guys may be asking for some of those things, so that way you don't have to pay for them multiple times.
Right.
Right? It's not standard, but up until the roadway concern, we did recommend approval with numerous contingencies. But if this board would like me to revisit this and find out additional information to present back to you before you make a decision, that is certainly a way we can go. I don't mean to give you a non-answer answer, but at your discretion, I
understand what you're saying there. Unfortunately, it doesn't, yeah. I still have the questions.
Can I make a brief comment?
Absolutely.
What it appears to me is that what you're doing is you're asking us to approve a minor subdivision here and put it right back into the non-conforming category, and the commissioners are trying to get these properties off the books. They're trying to get properties conforming. Am I misreading this? Because without having that road improved, where you've got the driveway access, see, I guess I wouldn't have a problem if he had laid this out, or somebody had laid this out so there was driveway access through the front lot.
Right, we
But,
couldn't.
well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because then the road's not an issue. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But we've got these issues all over the county where we've got roads that are not built to standards. And the commissioners want to bring these non-conforming properties into conformity. They want to correct the problems. And here you're asking us to create another one,
So.
the way I see it.
And just discussion on this.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's what I'm seeing
Right,
here.
no, I totally get your point. So what we're proposing is about 300 feet along that road. Do we have to build it beyond that?
I wouldn't think so.
Since there's already a house
At that
back
point, it's a
there?
driveway. That's what it is now.
So there's already a house back there that has a York Avenue address.
Well, that's why I was asking if there was another piece of property between this
Not-
lot that you're trying to
not a
subdivide
vacant one.
and the one the Colvin residence is on.
The Colvin residence is there. and
That's
there's nothing
adjacent
else.
on the west property.
Right, and there's nothing else. It's
So
just our
at that
property.
point, to my way of thinking, if it was county road standard up to wherever the driveway access is, that would be sufficient.
And so would you leave them as a York Avenue address then?
That's what they've got now.
But if we build Colvin, then,
No.
Well, how are you going to leave this lot as a York address?
well,
See,
exactly.
that brings us back to that other standard that we're looking at for address corrections.
Please readdress.
So you'd have to readdress the Colvin residence to a Colvin Avenue
Well,
address.
it should be redone anyway.
So I mean,
Am I wrong there?
No, you're correct, sir.
So we're
Yeah,
in-
we
okay.
wind up readdressing that lot there
Right.
to the west.
So-
to-
So Colvin's have a York Street address right now.
Right.
And that should be changed to Colvin Street.
right, exactly. So, I mean, so we're impacting them throughout all this, so, yep.
I think that would solve the problem if we could just make that a contingency to improve that, what's now a driveway up to county standards, up to wherever
Right.
they want the driveway access.
Sorry, having a sidebar about addressing.
Is that doable?
To make it a contingency for,
Well,
to bring
I
up
think that
county
would,
standards?
well, he wants to get the property split. That's one way to do it.
I suppose that,
That'll be, up to my client. I mean, you guys can request anything, and and that's, I think you need to do what's best for the county. That's where you're sitting. And so, you need to propose that as a contingency. We can come in before the Board of County Commissioners and argue it with them as well. But I bet they'll fall in line with what you're saying.
Okay, well, I've had this same discussion with some of the commissioners, and that's
So-
why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, so, I mean, if that's what we have to do, then that's the way we have to approach it. And so, at some point, the dollar amount's gonna cancel this. And so I don't know how much it costs to build a road. We'll have to look into that, just for 300 feet even. And so we run into, it opens up a whole can of worms, to be honest with you, because is the fire
Yeah,
department
and I see that.
we're going to require a turnaround there, is there good, and so we'll have to go through all that, and so. But if that's a requirement, that's a requirement.
If you could just clarify one thing or a few things for me. So the current house that is at the end of Colvin Street, where does their water come from?
It's a service line from York. It's not
From
an
York?
ME. It's just a
And where
service.
does it go down Colvin Street or
I
where?
believe so. It runs down, down that Colvin, that driveway to their house.
See, it's a
I'm sorry,
driveway.
I'm
It's a
sorry, but
driveway.
you're now calling it a driveway.
Well, that's what, everybody else is calling it. So
Yeah,
It's a platted right-of-way. It's a public
I-
right-of-way.
I understand what you're saying.
And it's, not built to county specs, but it is, it's a decent road. It's better than a lot of roads in Penrose. even.
Well, I'm not
So,
arguing with that
that's-
at all. It's just that,
Dan, I certainly have more questions. I could not vote for this one.
okay.
I'm going to leave it up to you, commissioners. I think this raises a lot of questions as to, is that a private road? I mean, it's their service, their water line is under that road.
So, a little bit of research, unmaintained county road. So Colvin is an unmaintained county road. So, I can,
Colvin is a maintained county road. but they-
unmaintained.
it's unmaintained.
Just like a lot of roads in Penrose.
So it's, It's acknowledged by the county, it's an unmaintained county road with no improvements.
And so for a subdivision to happen on that unmaintained county road,
Improvements.
by our code, it should be brought to county specs.
Yeah, per the regulation that we had brought up there that you came over and read, yes, it would, county standards.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's pretty clear. Like it just, I don't know that we should be granting variances on that or exemptions or anything else. I mean, it's not a driveway, it is a right of way, it is a road. And unfortunately, I know the cost thing, I get it, but you know, if we can't use that as a reason every time, right? That cost is prohibiting
Oh, yeah, you
building. I
can't.
mean, it just, you can argue it, but I mean, it just can't be the reality every time, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, I mean, these standards have to be built out for a reason, and it's what the other commissioner was talking about. Otherwise, we're just propagating the problems that we're already seeing all over the county. At some point, we have to put a foot down for the, you know, standards need to be met.
Well, I think the county commissioners are already putting their feet down. They disapproved that one 40-acre subdivision in Penrose because of this type of an issue. That was one of their bullet points. So, is this project gonna have to go before the commissioners?
This project would go in front of the county commissioners.
It would not?
It would.
Okay, well,
Where is Calvin Road on that map?
Right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, like here's York, Kelvin, and here, this is the part that's unimproved.
How far north of that is from High Street?
From High Street.
Quite a ways.
Half a mile?
Well,
yeah, it's quite a ways.
so why isn't that highlighted lot, Minnesota address? That's the one you're saying is a York address?
No,
Actually, York address heat.
that's Colvin.
But it is addressed as York,
The one that's highlighted right now,
yes.
but it's facing Minnesota.
He comes off of Colvin.
There's a lot of terrain there.
Okay.
and
That's a
why you
big-
can't
that's a
see
big hill up
It
there.
drops
So
off
you
quite a
can't-
bit.
You couldn't make a driveway there.
You know, if you have enough
No.
money, you can do anything.
Well, that's just my curiosity, because it is fronting another road.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
And I don't know if that house was there prior to the Colvin subdivision. You know, the family developed that, and that's the Colvins that live there, so I don't know if that's,
Yeah, it's the same family.
is it the same
yeah.
family? So, yeah.
Well, running that road all the way up to the top of the hill would be very expensive, but I can see doing just past the first lot.
Yeah, well, just the 300 feet.
Yeah.
You know, and so then, yeah, that just, yeah, we'll have to see what that costs and what would, you know, the advantages be for us.
So, is this something that you'd want to talk with your client, have some time to talk with your client, and then revisit? Or what?
Well,
Where do you
I
guys?
need to talk to my client, but I mean, I think it's up to you guys if you want to table it and revisit it. You know, that sounds like the way you're leaning. So,
Well, I don't think I'd have a problem approving it with the contingency that road be improved up to a certain point.
right.
Well, I think we have more questions too.
Well, and those other questions have to be addressed also. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
but that was the roadway was my big concern on it. That and the fact that there's no drainage.
Yeah.
It's going to be I think that's going to be an issue.
Something I'd like to talk about as well.
But if we do table this, it could only be tabled until next month, right?
Yeah, it adds 30 days to the whole.
So
So would
if
the-
we do table it, these questions could be answered in 30 days?
I would hope so, yeah. You know, I just want to be clear on what questions you're waiting the answers on.
Yeah.
You know, I know the roadway. I mean, what else are you wanting to know?
I'd like the water line clarified. If a personal water line is under a county road, who maintains it? See, the whole thing with that not being clear, is that a county road? If that water line breaks, yeah, I would like all of that clarified. I would rather push this for 30 days than to vote no or yes on it.
I think caution to find out more information would be the better way to go then. I agree with you.
Yeah, transportation might have a different opinion on whether it could be just 300 feet. They may have a different requirement.
I'd certainly revisit with them
Yeah.
on Monday, the next business day that we have, and kind of go over this one and see their opinions, get more feedback for you.
So we want to know about the road, we want to know about the utilities, what else?
The detention basin, so
Engineering, that's.
yeah, so, I mean, I think I'd be okay making it a contingency to have that drainage plan done before BOCCC. I think that's fine, but I think that they would want to see that too, because, I mean, to the points raised, yes, it was there, but was it engineered properly? I mean, what do you need to build it back to? I mean, without knowing what it originally was, you know?
Yeah, some of the berms are still there, you know, you can see what it was.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so-
And especially since there are a lot of lots there that could be really directly affected, of whether that thing's effectively built or not. I mean, it's a detention basin for everything down below it, and there's a lot of lots there.
Right, and it dumps into the street.
Right.
You know, the pipes are going into the street.
Right, but, you know, what size of pipe, I mean,
It
there's.
looks like somebody tried to do the right thing when they did it.
I hear you, yeah. I guess that would be, my opinion is not to defer that out to building, but to defer it out to the BOCCC meeting. My opinion.
Anything else?
The Department of Transportation did have another comment saying that they needed a drainage utility easement for each lot that they were still waiting on. So, let me make sure. So that was page 10, FC dot, excuse me. It's the third bullet point. We're still waiting on a map that shows where the utility and drainage easements are for the lot that does not have the items called out on the map. Both utility and drainage easements are needed for each lot.
Right, that's statutory, that's regulatory in the easement statement, maybe they just didn't see the easement statement on there, because there's regulatory drainage.
Okay.
But has it on there?
Yeah, so I guess as long as we get something from FC dot that, you know, that's cleared up.
Yeah, I'll meet with FCDOT as soon as possible and
Yeah.
go over this project.
And I'll talk to my client, you know, if this just is starting to turn into too much.
Sure.
I'll let you guys know right away if he wants to pull it or not. So.
Commissioners, any other questions or anything you would like Matt to visit with his client about before we make a motion on this item? If not, I'll make a motion that we table this item for 30 days. Or, I'm sorry, let's table this until the next Planning Commission meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to table this till the next Planning Commission meeting. Gardner?
Aye.
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 Motion approved. As we have no other items on our agenda, I'm going to close the meeting at 3:58 p.m.